commanded thee, be strong, and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode from your weekly broadcast, Mocha Resistance. My name is Harold Maldonado. Today is July 29th, year of our Lord 2023. We've entitled episode 7, Occupation Getting Nervous, as the awakening process of the county continues and people are aware or getting aware or noticing what's really going on in the county. The occupation, the Marxist, socialist, communist occupation is getting nervous, and they're doing everything they can to continue to gaslight and virtue signal their narrative in the county. But residents are waking up by the hundreds, by the thousands, and yeah, we're just getting started. So here's the game plan for today. We're going to talk about current events. We're going to give you an update on the war, and today we have the privilege of having an interview with the leader from Moms for Liberty. We talked about it last episode. They were getting a lot of backlash in terms of their information, in terms of being in the rally at the Board of Education, and we'll go deep with Lindsay Smith, the head of Moms for Liberty for Montgomery County. Yeah, so let's start with current events. As usual, we'll go into Twitter. I know most of you know that Twitter has seen a lot of change in this week. All right, let's start. We have Cuthard. He is an account based out of Florida who has been active since day one, since 2019-20. And here he has a tweet where he mentions, he says, send another million. New York City Democrats brag about being a sanctuary city, giving them what they want. And he retweets a meme, therefore I am account, where he says, holy crap, with overflowed hotels in New York City, sidewalks are completely taken over by homeless illegals. So here we go. You'll see in front of you the streets of New York that are filled with illegals who are basically have overrun the streets in New York, the government, the mayor, and finances, and this is happening everywhere. Every Democrat-run city and county, and as you know, we are designated as a county that is designated as sanctuary county. So that's why you see all the crime. That's why you see all our taxes being increased, because the people in charge who are basically following Marxist agenda, they want to destroy our cities. They want to destroy our counties. They want to destroy our country. We don't have, our economy is weak. We cannot absorb any illegals. And this is just something that should awaken you up in terms of the narrative that they're pushing. All right, continuing. We see a tweet from Freedom from Maryland. And basically, it is a tweet referencing the causes of the COVID-19 vaccinations and how people have been lied to about the effectiveness and about the safety of these vaccinations. And again, this goes back to the foundations of our country. We're free to decide what we want to do with our lives. And as I recall, during the pandemic and the media, everyone from the other side, from the woke progressive side, was really going ham and being very forceful in terms of forcing people to get vaccinated, and of course it's hypocrisy when they say it's my body, my choice. They only say that when it comes to abortion, and when it comes to deciding whether to take an experimental vaccination, they don't believe that anymore. So here's a sad story. So Freedom from Maryland retweets a tweet from Tabitha Goldbaum where this person is saying basically, I read the tweet. I was lied to by our government, by the pharmaceutical and pharmacy who administer COVID-19 vaccinations. No one warned me. And she says, if you want your family safe, please do not take these vaccinations. And I'll go ahead and play her testimony.
The last 3 days, I've barely been able to move. I just can't keep doing this. Like, I'm so much fucking pain. It's never going away. The doctor said these tremors are never gonna go away. This neurological issues are never gonna go away. And for what? For what? For me to take shots because I was scared, because I thought it would protect me. What is protecting me now? Nothing. What did that shot do? What did those two Moderna shots do? This ruined my fucking entire life. I can't work anymore. I can barely take care of my kids. I don't want anyone to feel like this ever. Please. Please don't let your family get these shots this winter. I'm 38. My whole life has crumbled. And I was told it was all safe. It was all safe. It was all a lie.
Yeah, we feel your pain, Tabitha, and we here at Mocha Resistance send our prayers and good thoughts so you can get better. And we applaud your bravery and your courage to come out and share your experience. Well, this is basically what's going on in the world. A lot of people are regretting taking the vaccine, and I mean, so, some of us, many of us who told you, back in 2020, 2021, that the vaccines were unsafe and that they would cause a lot of harm. Well, we were right. You called us everything under the sun, but we were right. So let's just use critical thinking, use logic, and we'll talk about the pandemic later on other episodes. Continuing, we have Greg. He's back, and he's basically calling out that what we're all feeling at the pump. Prices are going up. Gasoline is up. Inflation keeps going up, despite what the Democrats say. Biden economics, it's not working. It's a falsehood, completely false. The inflation level is high, and inflation remains high and remains going up. And they're saying, yeah, we've seen the reduction of inflation. No, inflation at the highest was 8% during the Biden administration, and then it went down month by month below 3%. That doesn't mean inflation is going down. It means that the rate of increase month by month is decreasing, but the starting from a high price base. So it's just context. Sometimes you need to really look at the data to see what's going on. So he says, Greg says, gasoline is up $3.65 on regular unleaded, seen in Rockville, and $3.79 for diesel fuel. So, yep, that's the sign of our times, people. Expect higher prices because the crude oil is also going up. It's going above $80, so expect prices to go up. Again, we have Qatar coming back with another tweet, and he says he puts out a reminder: ABC, NBC, and CBS are communist democrat state-run propaganda. We fully agree with that statement, Qatar, and we're glad to have you back. All three networks are fake news garbage, and yep. He puts out a picture where the picture says ABC, CBS, NBC, that with the title "Leftist News Networks Obsessed with Trump Indictment," and there's a picture of Trump on the left side and a picture of Biden on the right side, and on the Trump it says Trump indictment coverage, 527 minutes, and Biden Burisma bribery coverage, 0 seconds. That should give you a taste of what we've been saying all along, that the mainstream media at all levels is compromised and is corrupt, and it works for the Democrat Party. All right, we have Islam, and he says, points out that the IRS is investigating Moms for Liberty in part because they don't balance out their critique of the mandated use of preferred pronouns in schools by discussing its supposed benefits. So again, here's an example of the government agencies being compromised, and this is a war. Yeah, this is the IRS going against a grassroots organization based out of Montgomery County, and they're investigating. So Islam RFI puts out an article from The Guardian where it says tax complaint filed against right-wing parents' rights group. Right-wing. So again, the narrative, the Marxist propaganda machine wants to divide and conquer. And we're going to hear from Moms for Liberty. So you'll hear what they're all about, and you'll hear and see for yourself more about this supposed extremist Moms for Liberty group. Complete lies. Again, here's another example of what we've been saying all along, that the Marxist agenda tries to harm society by destroying the values of society, morals. I remember back when I was growing up in Silver Spring, young people respected the elderly, and for example, they would be in a public transportation, either at the metro or bus, and if an elderly person came on, they would offer young people would offer seats to them. So we don't see that now. That's gone. That's gone and within our society. So here's a tweet from Alexander Shepard. Here's Brittany Grenier shirtless in this video with no bikini top or anything. So this lady was arrested in Russia, supposed lady, and as you can see in front of you, that's a guy. That's a guy pretending to be a woman playing WNBA. And just a factoid, when this person was arrested in Russia, they didn't allow him to go into the women's section of the prison. He was put in with the men. So because they saw he was a man, not a woman. So there you go. We have Mama Bear coming full speed, full force. Thank you, Mama Bear, for being active and for your tweets. I think your tweets are refreshing and they put out good information. Keep doing that. She says, "I saw Son of Freedom. It was amazing. Just when you thought what they do to these poor innocent children was horrible, you discover that that's even worse and happening right in your own country. How sick are these people?" Yep. These people are sick, and she retweets tweet from Truth Justice. The Son of Freedom exposes the pedophile economy slaving millions of innocent children around the world. Let that sink in. Around the world to a life of rape, torture, and murder. Tim Ballard, former Homeland Security Special Agent, confirms adrenochrome is real. They take, okay, so let's go ahead and see what adrenochrome is. And he says, okay, so Tim Ballard, former Homeland Security Special Agent, confirms adrenochrome is real. They take the children's blood and they drink it. What? The U.S. Department of Labor and the United Nations estimate that there are over 6 million innocent children who are forced into sex slavery. Over 6 million innocent children. Labor, slavery, and organ harvesting. It's absolutely a real thing. The United States is the #1 consumer of child rape materials and close to #1 in production. So, yeah, this information is stark, it's harsh, but it's the reality. We're going to go into adrenochrome later on, but you can search it up and look what it is. So it is real. It is sickening, and it's infiltrated at the highest levels of government, entertainment, Hollywood, etc. So we'll dig into that later. If you haven't watched the movie, I highly recommend it. It's a very good movie. We have Mr. Chang, where he says the youth in DC don't respect law enforcement. Here's a video of where it says when it's your first time back out in DC and you see this happening. You see in front of you, you see a video where you have youth twerking in public view. And I mean, what do you expect? You legalize marijuana in DC, you legalize marijuana in Maryland, and you dumb down education, you dumb down family values, basically destroying it. You foster individuality in the fake racism, fake division among people, and this is what you get from youth. Sad, actually. Continuing, we have Robert Dyer, who puts out a tweet, says, axe-wielding burglars attempt to break into all-new Exxon station. Wow. So, of the mental effects that the pandemic, the dumb down of education, and just complete disregard of protecting law-abiding citizens by the government officials locally in the county are fostering this kind of activity all over the county. We have just youth being just acting out because there are no restraints. There's no family values being defended in their lives. So that's what we see. And here's another tweet from Stephanie Ramirez. Thank you for putting this out. New video shows 2 suspects jumping out of a vehicle, targeting a person with long guns in maybe tens, then running back to the reddish Jeep SUV and fleeing. Another video shows the person targeted gets shot, as well as a second person who appears to be just walking. Here you go. So this is not a third world country. This is not, let you see the video from the beginning. This is not a third world country. This is not Venezuela, Bolivia, Argentina, or anywhere in Africa. This is happening here in our backyard. Here you go. So you see the SUV, 2 teenagers come out, young people, and with 2 guns, and they flee. They go back to the car and they flee. So this is what you call a hit and run. Now, Acting Chief Pamela Smith says DC Police Department are investigating a double shooting by 6th and Chesapeake Street Southeast, where a group of 4 in a red-colored Jeep SUV pulled up to to get out and out the back and shoot, one dead. So we just saw a homicide. Wow. So this is what's going on in Democrat-run cities, counties, and jurisdictions where criminals are protected and law-abiding citizens are left out to dry. Continuing, we have a tweet from Cheryl Riley. We'll have her in our show hopefully soon. We'll work that out. And she says, no, the fact that the inept occupants in leadership positions created this, take selfies and ignore residents, and that is bad enough. But now we have to go about our routines with our heads in a swivel, regardless of the time of day. And it's just infuriating. Seems innocent people being innocent victims being targeted by brazen criminals who have the green light. Is sickening. Fire DC, Montgomery County, PG County, and Arlington elected now. Yep. And she's answering a question from Kilmo Network Inc., where it says, do you feel safe in the DMV area? Robberies are up, carjackings are up, and assault rifles are the new norm in our city. Yep. So, yeah, we don't see any ending to this, and I'm sure the county council in the county will come up with a big solution for this, because they've created this, and that's how Marxists work. They create the problem and create the solution in order for them to retain and gain power, political power, economic power, you name it. So thanks for tuning that out, Cheryl. We got Greg back again, and he's pointing out to a tweet from one of the council members, and he says this quote is nonsensical, utterly incoherent. Rent control is policy innovation. Are you serious? Yeah. So these brainless council members are just puppets to the Marxist, communist, socialist, the Commonwealth Park communist cartel. And she says, Montgomery County will continue to be a place where we innovate. Saleh said on the bill signing on Monday, and I continue to work with my colleagues to make good trouble because this is just the beginning. Yeah, we believe you. This is the beginning of a complete Marxist agenda narrative that you and your puppets will continue to push at the behest of none of the county residents who you're supposed to represent. You're a joke. You don't represent us. The bill that she's talking about is Bill 1523. It's the rent stabilization bill that we talked about last week. We're going to dig deeper into the consequences and the effects that this bill will have. Basically, we've said that this bill is meant to centralize economic power in the council, and it's going to kill and disrupt at least the real estate industry in the county, and also the construction industry in the county. So, yeah, this is how you start killing an economy. Okay, so let's continue. Let's give you an update on what's going on in the war. People around the world, are working hard to wake up, and they're waking up by the masses. People are getting to know the real truth about the jobs, the real truth about heart conditions. All of a sudden, cancers are up more than 1,000%. Blood clots and famous people dropping dead in front of them. Yep, people are waking up, and they're calling out their governments, and they're getting organized. So what you're seeing in Montgomery County, it has been happening in the world for some time now, for at least 2 years, and it finally got here, the awakening process. So I'm very happy, very, We're enthused to have this happening in the county, and you're part of it. If you're listening to this show, thank you. And if this is your first time, thank you. We appreciate your giving us a chance to inform you. We're not here to provide any lies. We're here to provide the truth, and our goal is to increase awareness in the county, as residents are lied to by the council, by the county council and the executive, and they're lied to by the local media. And we are here to counter that narrative, to provide the truth as best as we can. And yeah, we will make mistakes, and we'll acknowledge our mistakes and be forthright in terms of our mistakes. But we have only one bias. We are biased for truth. So it doesn't matter, where the truth comes from. And we're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're not here to provide any cover to anyone, to any political party. We're here to provide the truth, and we'll continue to do that. So thank you for giving us a chance. Continuing with the second bullet point on the update on the war, the occupation going full Marxist propaganda. Now, you've seen in the news media the hot weather being used to push climate change, the climate change lie. They're saying, yes, climate change is here, and we need to push for electric cars, and we need to get rid of fossil fuels, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, it's a lie, and we'll dig into how the climate change hoax is definitely man-made, and it's a lie. And also hot weather being used to as cause for blood clots. I just saw that today, actually, where they're saying, the mainstream media is saying that hot weather is causing blood clots. No, blood clots are being caused by the people who have been vaccinated, and one of the adverse effects are blood clots. So that's what's going on. All right. With next bullet point, pandemic information confirming it was planned and it was a hoax. Yes, a lot of information is coming out. Even studies from Oxford are saying that the Pfizer vaccine, for example, and others, the Moderna vaccines have adverse side effects. So everything's coming to light. The political puppets are on all sides are being exposed. For instance, the McConnell, the GOP congressman, this week has had a very bad episode in his press conference, and we'll dig into that. And everybody's being exposed. DeSantis, he's being exposed. Biden corruption in full display. The Biden family is being investigated, and impeachment process has started, and he's been receiving bribes from Ukraine, from other sources. The laptop belonging to his son Hunter Biden is real, and information on that has been coming along. And here on our neck of the woods, the county council members on full puppet display, ignoring everything under the sun, ignoring the crime, ignoring the issues, the economy, ignoring what's going on in our schools, ignoring the plea by minority parents that they want to have the opt-out option to be restored by the Board of Education. They're ignoring everything. And of course, they're following orders from the Tacoma Park Communist Cartel, are giving them the points to what to say, where to go, and what to do. They have no power, they have no independence, and if you believe your vote was for change or for anything, no, they control all the levers of the government. They control the unions. They control anything under the sun when it comes to voting. So it's safe to say that the voting system in the county is rigged. We'll touch on that deeply on later episodes, but just to give you a heads up on that. And they are virtue signaling and gaslighting the public as usual. If you haven't been in our Twitter accounts, please do so. We have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook account, and we have channels in Telegram. YouTube and Rumble. So anything that we don't have time to put in the broadcast, we put in Telegram for your information. So let's continue. Now we are going to step into the highlight of this episode, which is the interview with Moms for Liberty. And we have more groups joining the fight, and this is one of them, Moms for Liberty. And yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the interview. Welcome to this week's weekly interview. Today we have the privilege of having one of the grassroots organizations that is working hard for you, for parents, for children. We have Lindsay Smith, who has graciously accepted our invitation from Moms for Liberty. Good afternoon, Lindsay. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy. I know with family in summer, yeah, we're all busy. So thank you for setting up this time for this interview. I wanted to basically just hear from you. You can tell the residents of Montgomery County, what is Moms for Liberty? Just a little background. Yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah. So Moms for Liberty, as you said, we're a grassroots organization. So national started in Florida, and each county has their own Moms for Liberty. Each county is owned for their own issues that they believe that are most important to the residents. And so here, Moms for Liberty of Montgomery County, we focus on what Montgomery County residents think are the most important issues in the education system. And so that's kind of where we stepped in. Our goal is dedicated to empowering parents that their voice is important in the education system. I think for so long, the parents, I'll take myself, for example. We've been quiet because we just trusted the system and kind of went with it. But I think COVID was very eye-opening for many of us. And so that's kind of where I started opening my eyes to what was actually happening in a lot of the school system. Things were showing up in conversations on Zoom that I was like, wait a second here, that doesn't sound right. And I think a lot of parents began to wake up. And so for us, Moms for Liberty is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America, basically by unifying education, like empowering parents to defend their parental rights in the education system.
And I do apologize. I should have started asking you, are you part of the resistance?
Yes.
Awesome. No, thank you. The same thing here. Same thing here. One of the reasons why I decided to get involved locally is because, as you just said, I, as many thousand parents in the county, just trusted the system, trusted that the county officials were basically doing their job and we're looking after the interest of our kids in terms of providing quality education. And the pandemic definitely, we had more time to dig into the information, to look up, best ways to safeguard our families in terms of nutrition, medicine, you name it. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons as well that I, got involved in local politics and realized that there were a lot of things wrong. So in one of those things is definitely education. Can you tell us about what are your current activities of your organization? Thank you for the background.
Yeah, so right now, Montgomery County, as everybody is probably well aware, right now we're working on restoring the opt-out for Montgomery County residents with a lot of the new curriculum that is being coming out and being taught in English literature or arts. There's a lot of parents that aren't in full agreement with how it's being taught and the assignments behind it. And so we're really standing up and just saying, no, we are going to stand on these religious rights and whatever right that as a parent we should have a right in education system. And we're really fighting for the opt-out to be restored. They honored it from January to March, and a lot of the parents were able to use that. I know that many parents had a pushback from principals and administrators at certain schools, but we have found for the most part, like most teachers and principals and admin had no problem honoring it. It didn't cause a class disruption as NCPS keeps claiming that it does. Many teachers actually just put an assignment on the side and read the book for the kids that wanted to read the book. And for the kids that didn't, there was another assignment. And it was very simple from many teachers that we've actually had conversations for, they had no problem doing it. And right now, our biggest goal is to make people aware of what is going on with the opt-out, because a lot of parents actually have no idea. We get emails on a daily basis about parents asking if we are aware of this. I guess they don't watch the news, I'm not sure. But yeah, spreading awareness of what actually is being taught in English literature arts. This is from like PEP 3-year-old autistic classes, speech therapy classes, all the way up to 12th grade. And the biggest pushback we've had is for elementary age, that the parents just don't want this taught for English arts, especially when our reading and our academia levels have dropped dramatically in the last several years. And this was pre-COVID. So right now we're really focusing on restoring the opt-out and the right of the parent in Montgomery County.
Yeah, I think the message is loud and clear. In a rally a couple of weeks ago, we saw that there was, a high interest of, or a high concern of parents, or every walk of life, being concerned about the materials that their kids are exposed to. And let me ask you this, as a leader of this grassroots movement, what do you think is behind this heavy push by the Board of Education and, of course, MCPS to push this curriculum into our kids?
Well, they like to put it under the diversity of the DEI is what I like to call it. It's diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was what they'd like to put it under the name of. But what I have seen is that X actually has caused more diversity. It's not diversity at all. It's caused more division. It's caused more groups to be excluded than included. Again, we have nothing against the community that they keep saying that we're a hate group of. That is not LGBTQ community. None of us hate them. We just don't want our kids to be taught sexualized things and sexual identity issues. This is gender ideology 101, where they're starting to teach kids that they're not born of the right gender. And it's starting in 3-year-old classrooms. I know my son, where I got really heavily involved in my why is my 3-year-old who was enrolled in speech therapy classes was being read these books, and I had a problem with it because he's there for speech therapy, that he shouldn't be having to think about his sexual identity at 3 years old. I don't know any 3-year-old that's working on that, especially one who is actually just learning to talk. And so that was kind of my jump in. I felt like they were kind of taking advantage of these young little kids and their minds. And it kind of just got me thinking, like, what else is going on, so to speak. But yeah.
Exactly. So when the whole, I don't know if you remember, at beginning of last year, at beginning of this year, the county council was voting to extend the mask mandates, or the for kids in public schools in the county. And that was when I was like, I mean, I did the research, I did everything in terms of my due diligence to see if masks really helped the kids, and the benefits really were not what the general message from the national level was. The benefits definitely they were less than the cost. So I was like, if I wasn't the only parent that took part in those hearings from the council, and the council didn't do anything. They just they ignored all the parents or all the organizations that spoke against extending the mask mandates, saying it's going to cause harm to to the learning abilities of kids, especially the pre-K and the kindergarten kids, because those are the ages where kids learn the social skills by looking at the facial expression of their tutors, teachers, parents, family. So I was concerned about that as well. And so going back to your point, yes, parents are busy. Parents, from one way to another, trust the system, but the system is plagued with a lot of faults, a lot of wrongdoings. And so I took a step back and said, that this is why we were seeing everything in the council in terms of the bills and the regulations and the way they're handling things. They want parents just to be working one job, two jobs. They're not fostering economic growth. They're not helping small businesses, and that's part of the plan, in order for the parents to be just to be trustworthy of the government, so they don't have to worry about their education. And so they feel, that's what I think, is that they have the whole control and power to enact and to push any curriculum they want. And I am so happy that organizations like yours and others are working to basically, it's a simple demand. It's nothing about going against this group or another group. It's about opting out because of religious freedom. I think that's very important. Now let's turn to any pushbacks that your organization and yourself have suffered, not suffered, but received.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I know that everybody keeps asking about the SPLC. I can't really address that. That's a national issue. It's not really our grassroots Montgomery County issue, but I would highly encourage people to actually go do the research for themselves. Um, so what I can say here in Montgomery County, like, people have brought that up, but I think that actions and characteristics speak louder than any words that people like to use. I have also seen those kind of tactics used in communities and certain political groups and so on and so forth, when they feel like somebody's actually speaking the truth. And so they try to name call. I mean, you see that in little kids, right?
Mm.
So for us, I'm not afraid of their words because I know where my true identity is, number one. But number two, like, all I'm doing, if moms and parents are what you think are your biggest issue, then that's a problem with me, because number one, those are my kids, those are not your kids. Number two, like, government should have a limited role in household decisions in the first place. Like, the government is not in charge of my household. I'm in charge of the household. That's the beauty of the Constitution. That's the beauty of the Bill of Rights. Our goal is basically to promote the teaching of principles of liberty in our homes and communities. And I think that the communities you're starting to see stand up for their actual God-given rights, right? It's because they're actually seeing that their liberty has been violated, and that the educational system and stuff is overreached at this point. Like, they have clearly overreached their bounds. And I think that parents are just tired. Like, these are their children. Like, you have awoken mama and papa bears, and if you didn't expect a pushback, well, then you don't really know what a mama and a papa bear actually do. They defend their children at all costs. And so I think the moment they started going, especially after elementary kids, with this doctrination and just name calling, there's been a lot of name calling about even young kids that have testified from the board. And I think you have to just be really careful with that, because you're going after kids at this point. And the moment that it touched the kids is when a lot of parents said enough. And it doesn't really matter what side of the spectrum you are on, politically, religiously. We have parents from I have atheist parents all the way to Christian and Catholic and Muslim parents in my group. I have Democrat, Independent, and Republican in my group, because they're just tired of the overreach of government, number one, and they're tired of the attack on their children.
I think we at Mocha Resistance echo that sentiment. We echo the fight that the organizations and others. We applaud you. We applaud the objective, the targets that your organization has. It's very simple, like you just said. It comes from the Constitution, and before that, and above all, it comes from natural law given or established by the divine God. So if we are to continue to be a nation that thrives on liberty and freedom, then we need to act like it. And right here is a great example of the government overreaching. And as you correctly said, and I agree with you 100%. The government, the county government, has overreached, and they did not expect this, and they're not expecting anything. But as I mentioned in previous episodes and other public comments in Twitter and Facebook and Telegram as well, is that this is the beginning. This is the beginning, because they have awakened a movement that was, it was always present but not outspoken. Now we have organizations like yourself. We have this group, the Family Rights for Religious Freedom, who are spearheading this. This movement to protect the rights of children, to protect the rights of parents, to protect the religious rights, which is the basis and the baseline for on which this country was founded on. So yeah, we applaud that. Can you give us a message for the regular parent in the county? What would your message be from your organization, from your viewpoint?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that our message is that your voice is important no matter where you think your voice is. I feel like a lot of parents have felt bullied or silenced because they don't agree with the agenda that is being pushed. And I think that what we have realized in the last 6 months since we started is that every voice is important. It doesn't matter what community you're from, it doesn't matter what you believe. Your voice is important, and I would just encourage you that no matter where you stand, that do not allow fear to keep your voice silenced, because that's the biggest thing that I feel like our kids need to see is they need to see parents, and they need to see community leaders, and they need to see people walking in boldness and courageousness in this hour. We're in an hour that requires boldness and courageousness, and you have to have boldness to actually speak. And I think the biggest lie that we have learned during COVID is that your voice is not important, and the moment that you don't agree with something, people have gone to silence the voice. And I think that's just an attack from, honestly, we're in a spiritual battle more than anything. So it's a spiritual battle, but your voice is important is what I want parents to know. Like, you have the power to defend your education system. You have the power to speak up for your child. And what better thing to leave your child than to actually show them the empowerment of speaking up and standing for truth or standing boldly for something.
Well said. Couldn't have agreed more. Final question would be, if we as parents don't get active, don't get involved in our community, in our HOA, or in our local community, and organizations like yourselves and others, what's going to happen?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we have to hold the people that are in these seats and offices accountable. If we don't, they're just going to continue to silence the parental rights. If you start digging in NCPS right now, there's so many things and policies being put in place that hide information from the parents. And then they use the fact that parents wouldn't affirm, or parents wouldn't do this, or it's not the right of the parents to know. Well, it is my right as the parents to know. And my concern is that if parents don't start speaking up, you're going to have more and more of your rights taken away from you. And right now, it's a chance to actually speak up for parental rights. It's bigger than an opt out at this point. Like, if they can get one thing they're going to take one thing, and they're going to keep taking more of your rights away. And who's to say that we're not going to end up like some of these other states that are just in a disarray right now?
Yeah, like California, I've read somewhere recently that the state government is thinking about removing children from parents' house that don't agree or don't, I guess, align themselves to the school curriculum or the gender identity choice that their kids choose or whatever. So yeah, that's a concern, and we'll definitely talk about Montgomery County being the California 2.0. But at this stage, I agree with you that there's that this issue and this battle that we're in, it goes beyond the physical. It's spiritual. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And yeah, we need to get active. We need to become aware, and that's the goal of this channel, of this movement. Mocha Resistance is to provide the county with the truth of what's really going on, and to increase awareness. And awareness, a well-informed resident, a citizen, is better than a person who is not. So thank you for your time. Any last thoughts? Any last comments?
Yeah, no, I would just, if you have any, I feel like people that have questions need to really just come out and see what these rallies about. I think a lot of the news is pointed it in one direction. And I think that in order to actually do truth, we actually have to do due diligence and actually research truth for ourselves, because who's to say that person's truth is actually truth, right? I think that parents that are questioning things, or I like to call them keyboard experts, that don't actually come to the front line and see what's really happening, you actually need to come to these Board of Education meetings yourself and actually hear for yourself what is happening and actually see the people that are actually standing up. I mean, it's amazing. I remember when we went in January, there's only two of us. And at the last Board of Education meeting, there was at least 1,000 people there. And I would just encourage you to go check it out yourself.
Well, thank you, Lindsay, for your time, and good luck. God bless, and keep your head high. And we'll pray for you and for your organization, for all the parents and kids who are fighting this evil and tyrannical Montgomery County Council. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hope you enjoyed the interview. We hope to have more interviews coming up. We're working on that as we speak. This concludes episode 7. The occupation getting nervous. Please share these far and wide. We need to get this information to every household in the county. Subscribe to our channels, YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We are the Resistance. Join us.
Have not I commanded thee? Be strong, and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest.